You're watching Canadian Muslim News on Muslim Network TV from Toronto, Ontario. This is Samia Sayed. Welcome to the show. Joining up for a conversation very shortly is Dr. Saima Khan from Dawanet on a new initiative that strengthens the relationship between grandparents and grandchildren. But first, let's take a look at some headlines. Hundreds of flights cancelled across Canada. Border agency utilizing Chinese radio equipment. Canadian police put brakes on car theft ring. Suicide blast kills police officer in Islamabad. And now the details. WestJet's chief operations officer says that the storms facing different parts of Canada are, quote, unlike anything we've experienced. Ahead of the storm, WestJet annulled all of its flights at airports in Ontario, Quebec, and British Columbia. By Friday, this was at least 360 flights. WestJet discussed the situation with airport authorities and NAV Canada, a not-for-profit corporation that owns and operates Canada's civil navigation system. All affected passengers have been informed by the airline. The Canada Border Services Agency, or CBSA, has been using technology and communications tools from Chinese-based Hytera Communications, which also owns Ontario-based Sinclair Technologies. The U.S. government alleges that Hytera Communications is a national security threat. 3 of the Niagara ports of access are not utilizing Hytera equipment. The Peace Bridge port of entry uses one that will be replaced in March 2023. A CBSA spokesperson says risk assessment processes have, quote, not identified any risks at the Peace Bridge. Public Safety Minister Marco Mendicino has requested all subdivisions to check any contracts that might be connected to Hytera or its subsidiaries. Canadian police have arrested Wednesday 51 people in a car theft ring and recovered 215 vehicles plus several guns in Project Touchdown, authorities announced. The recovered vehicles cost an estimated 17 million Canadian dollars. The suspects face more than 150 charges laid by York Regional Police. Police also seized 15 handguns, an assault rifle, ammunition, and 1 kilogram of cocaine. Vehicle theft is burgeoning in the Toronto area as multiple groups operate province-wide and internationally from their base in the GTA. They steal and traffic vehicles. Police say many of these vehicles end up in Africa, Europe, and the Middle East. A suicide bomber killed at least one police officer today when he detonated a device after his car was stopped in the Pakistan capital, officials said. The attack is the first in the city after several years. A senior police official says officers had been following a suspicious taxi occupied by a male driver and a woman passenger. The police say that when the taxi was stopped, the driver came out and quickly went back in and pressed a button to blow up the car. A policeman died and 6 people, 4 of them being officers, are wounded. Violence against security officials has risen in the northwestern border areas with Afghanistan over the past year, and it's blamed on militant groups linked to the Pakistani Taliban. And that's it for the news. Now, it's quite clear that keeping ties with your family is in many aspects very important. Oftentimes, it is the relationship between a child and their parent that is emphasized, but something that is not quite as talked about is the bond between a child and their grandparent. Dawanet's recent initiative is hoping to strengthen that bond, and joining us now to tell us how is Dr. Saima Khan. Welcome, Dr. Saima, and thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me here. Jazakallah khair.
Dr. Saima, tell me about this new initiative. What was the aim while planning and coordinating such a project?
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Um, as you know, sister, that most of the organizations are working on the spiritual and religious benefits from our ummah, but none so far has been seen that has actually worked for physical and mental and emotional well-being for our Muslim community. So last Ramadan, Dawanet has initiated a project by the name of Health and Wellness, and within that umbrella, we are focusing on our senior wellness. And the purpose for the senior wellness is to prevent the ongoing cognitive decline in our seniors. So the best way we can do this is engaging both extremes of ages, the youth and the seniors. And the best is connecting grandparents and grandchilds. And there's an immense literature out there, research that shows that the connection between grandparent and grandchild is bidirectional. It benefits both.
Mhm. So, what does this initiative include? How are you trying to strengthen that relationship?
So there are few services and programs that we have started. So one is called Generation Connection, is basically doing some activities with our seniors, like craft activity with seniors. So the grandchild will do some activity with the grandparent, so that they engage, they bond, they learn from each other. And same way, that also enhances the cognitive improvement in seniors, so they get to know how to get fit in into the culture, so they can talk to their grandchildren about the latest things that's going on, and that's give them a sense of empowerment. The other initiative that we have started is matching up. So we are calling it We Are One. So it's youth connecting with seniors. So whatever the services, whatever the abilities and skills our senior has, like let's say they are good in cooking, sewing, things like that, and then if they can transfer that skills to our youth. And the same thing, if the youth are able to give some services to the senior. So let's say a senior who cannot walk, so a youth would come and help our senior to help them walk, help them read book. So that's what. So the purpose is to match these two generation together for the improvement in both. The children will get sense of security, the love, the safe environment that they're looking at, and the grandparents are looking to improve their mental, physical, emotional health.
Mhm. So, it doesn't have to be with your own grandparents. You can just come in by yourself and be matched up with anyone.
That's right. So the first, a generation connector, we prefer that a grand, so it should be on, but we are pulling it the list. So let's say if you don't have a grandchild, but you want to get involved, so you registered as a lone grandparent, and the grandchildren, like most of us, we don't have any grandparents here. Like my children, they don't have any. 3 years ago, they don't have any. I'm blessed. I have my mom with me now, but there's so many families that don't have any grandparents. So how would they know that environment living with a grandparent? So our job is to match up, and so that both can benefit from this. So these
Mhm.
are the with connecting the two extremes. So the two programs has been launched within the umbrella of the senior wellness.
Mhm. Now, this initiative has been ongoing for a few months now. How has it progressed from when it first started?
So I think the one of the biggest challenge for us is to reach out, because as you know that the seniors, they're not much on a social media, right? So reaching out is hard. So we learn from our experience that we need to go into the pockets where the senior community is there. So the first initiative was we did in summers was a senior barbecue, and we did activities with seniors and children. So the best one was actually scavenger hunt. So we had the 4 and 10-year-olds together with their grandparent, both both grandmother and grandparent, and the family of grandkid. As a family, they went out in the park and they did the scavenger hunt. So what it did, it actually helped them to engage. And one of the purposes that we do, that every time we do any event, we take both seniors and grandchild separately, and we kind of do sort of a pep talk with 5 minutes about both grandparents and grandchildren, how to interact with each other. Because these days the grandparents may be using previous strategy that their parents has used for them. So we kind of tell our grandparents how they should be dealing with this generation grandchildren, and at the same time teaching the adab, the manners to our children, how they should be interacting. So every time is a repetition of the same manners, so that eventually they can adapt into their daily living.
Mhm. I'm wondering, is there an age limit that you have for this program, especially for the youth? So, Are you looking for a specific age group or
So
can
we
anyone
usually
participate?
depends on the activity that we are doing. So generation connection is we plan to do different activities. So let's say if it's a craft or a Play-Doh thing, then of course we are looking into 4 to 9 year old. Then if it's a painting or calligraphy initiative, then we're looking for older children. So we usually tend to give ranges, so that each grandchild can be involved, because of course the older grandchild would not like to mix with the younger grandchild, but there's some activities where the whole family can get involved.
Mhm. And what is some of the feedback that you have received so far for these projects?
So the number one feedback that we have received, that that's what is needed in the community, and it should be done in a consistent basis. And everyone enjoyed it because that gives our senior a platform for networking. So that's what we are working on, is providing a consistent but quality service to our participants.
Mhm. Now, I was taking a look at Dawanet's Facebook and I didn't really see much about this initiative recently. Are there plans to maybe expand it or relaunch it in the new year?
Yes, so we have few things coming up. The reason that we had bit of an administrative challenge with that,
Mhm.
and then we couldn't be able to get our desired, the platform that we were looking at. But we have few things. We have already like 6 months calendar lined up, from January onward, inshallah. So you would be hearing from us a lot.
Is it possible you can share some of those details with us now?
Yes, for sure.
Go ahead. So what are some things that if you could give us a sneak peek of what you have in store for us
Sure.
next year?
So one of the things that we are working on, we would like to launch it in January. It's already in process. Is Craft Corner. So every week, probably Sunday. So 4 to 9 year old grandkids and grandparent will come and they will do craft. So that will help the children and the grandparent to engage in an activity, and it's good for them. So that is a consistent thing that we would like to start. And with the generation connector, what we would like to do is to do bit of what we called it within field work. So in February, we plan to take our grandchildren and grandchild into Legoland.
Mhm.
So that's something we're working on.
Mhm. Dr. Saima, how did you personally get involved in working on this project?
So being a physician, this physical and mental thing was always very dear to me, and every time being engaged in the community, I always always looked into that. There's always been a gap that nobody actually focusing on mental and physical need. But when my mom came in from Pakistan 3 years ago, I see a rap, and then the COVID hit. I saw a rapid decline in her cognitive health. And when I look back and I say it's me who is enhancing her cognitive decline, is because she was rooted in such a strong environment, and just because of my sake, I took her off from that rooted environment, and I told her, Mom, I'm stable here, come here. And when she came in, I did not give her any platform to get cognitively engaged. And then I could see a rapid decline in both her mental as well as in her functioning health.
Mhm.
So then this came something very personal to me, that I as a learned member of the community, I need to do something for our seniors. It's a payback time what they have done, and the only thing we can do our senior is to provide a platform of wellness. So wellness is afia, that a disease have not hit you, and you are doing preventing thing to save that illness,
Mhm.
rather
And I
than
can
the
see how that
illness.
personal story would resonate with a lot of other families who bring their parents here and who are hoping to engage with their community, especially the youngsters in Canada. Well, thank you so much, Dr. Saima, for joining us today and sharing about the initiative and all the best for the upcoming year.
Thank you for having me here, and thank you for providing me this platform to share about our initiative. Thank you.
You were watching Canadian Muslim News on Muslim Network TV. That's it from our Toronto studios tonight. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe to our channel for more Canadian Muslim content. Stay safe, and until next time.